So it can be said that I'm pretty objective regarding Star Citizen, both in the good and the bad. I guess no one can accuse me of being a fanboy or anything close by. It's usually more of the, oh, you're salty, hateful kind of comment. But I try to keep it real as much as possible. And this is where I have probably the best tip for you, no joke. I'm not even kidding, really. If you're serious about this, this is probably the best tip anyone will ever give you, and I haven't seen this mentioned anywhere, and it definitely should. So the thing is this, folks, if you are trying to make your way playing Star Citizen, trying to role play, having your ship exactly the way you want, or maybe even doing cargo with your C2 millions in there, and all of a sudden 30k hits, right? This is the point in which the noob panics. This is the point in which the guy with a little bit more experience says, hey, wait a minute. I mean, maybe 30k protection kicked in. There's a good chance that your cargo is safe. Go back in. Don't claim it. Check it out. It's probably stored somewhere. Give it a little bit of a time. It's probably going to be there, right? Now, here's where someone with even a little bit more experience will say, yeah, it kind of works. Usually it works, sometimes it doesn't. Now, one of the things you never hear is what happens when the system crashes. What happens when you just have a catastrophic error of some kind? What happens even if you just unplug your PC and it all just dies? Well, that's the point where you would assume everything has been lost. And yes, even a while later you log in and your ship is missing somewhere in Microtech. Is that the case? Well, not always. And here's the tip. Give it some time. Give it actually a lot of time. In my experience, it may be about 24 hours later, there's a very good chance that your ship is spawning back in your main city. This has happened to me enough times that I feel comfortable giving out this advice. I've had it happen once before that it was almost a week later. That was super rare. But it can happen, and I've read of people that have had that same thing happen. All of a sudden, the ship that was lost in some crash or something, either on the server or on their own end, maybe a week later, a ship that was just missing simply pops up. But in my experience, if you give it at least 24 hours, give it at least, check it every once in a while. Maybe check that same night, maybe check the following day. 90% chance that ship is going to be back with your loadout exactly the way you left it. It's going to be your cargo and your C2. And I'll give you an example. This happened to me yesterday with my Spirit C1, beautiful ship that you see here. Well, I was quantum traveling from Microtech to Area 18, and it just, computer crash. Basically, I just had too much stuff loaded at the same time, and it just rebooted the entire thing. And of course, when I went back in, it just wasn't there. And I consider it lost, but I knew that if you give it a little bit more time, there's a good chance that this may end up happening. And it is exactly like that. Here in Area 18, which is my main city, ship exactly the way I left it. Even the stuff in the fridge is there. Even going here back, I have a little bit of cargo there, still there, box with stuff. Everything, and this I think was empty if I remember correctly. So yeah, everything is exactly, I mean, even the vehicle I had stored here exactly in the same spot. And let me check because I haven't looked into this before. Here in, yeah, all of the stuff that I had in the ship still here as well. This is pretty great, and I'll explain why. Because many people, either you're running cargo, and sometimes folks have all of their money, even though you shouldn't, but sometimes people have most of their money in cargo in a C2, and they lose it, and they say, oh, this sucks, they just give up on the game. I mean, if you're going to give up, by all means, but don't give up for something that actually has a possible solution, a bug, or well, this is not even a bug, this is something that may be entirely on your end, but this is a positive thing. Just give it a little bit more time. I mean, I've played like having my Carrack loaded up exactly the way I want, and then you lose it and you say, oh, it's such a pain in the ass. I'm going to spend an hour having all my, my Pisces and Ursa Rover and all of the guns and all of that stored away. Well, no, that's too much. Well, no, give it a little bit of time. It will probably be there for you. Folks, if you appreciate this kind of content, leave your comments below, and by all means, subscribe to the channel. See you next time. Take care.